Hello again everyone, and welcome from the Steel Segment team in Atlanta, USA. Once again, I'm Ian Coates, the product manager for this division, and I'm accompanied by the technical guru that is Lee Snyder. Today we're going to cover a new topic that's available in the Tekla structure system, and also as part of our Fabricator series, planning, scheduling and tracking. There is already on our website, www.tekla.com/us, a webinar previous to this, accurate estimating and efficient organizing. So if you're just getting this for the first time, you can go ahead and do your homework and catch up if you like, and we'll cover planning, scheduling and tracking today. Couple of housekeeping notes. Next webinar is going to be Wednesday, 7th September at the usual time, midday Eastern time, while you're all enjoying your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It'll be the Fabricator series, and it'll focus on project communication and coordination, exchanging data, sharing data in real time on a project, using some of the various tools that are available and some new tools that are coming as well. We're also hoping to do another one of the immensely popular custom component webinars that we've been done in the past. We did one on details, I think it was before, rightly. And we're going to do one on another type of custom component as well. Also, just watch our website on www.tekla.com/us again. That's where we'll be advertising those. Question and answers today. Please keep pinging those questions to us. We try and answer them as much as possible. We've got Brian Raglan working the booth as the producer on today's show, and he'll be typing the answers as quickly as one of us can answer them. Anything else, we may, if we have time available, we'll cover some questions at the end. If we are unable to get to it, of course, please email any one of us or give us a call. Talk to your account manager if you like. So housekeeping's done. Let's hand over to the certifiable genius of the event. Lee's going to cover planning, scheduling and tracking.
Alright, thank you, Ian. Let's go ahead and dive right into the next session of our Fabricator series, planning, scheduling and tracking. And just to give us an overview of what we're going to talk about before we dive in and go through all of the details and the specifics, we're going to talk about basically how you can create a report generated from Tekla that's linked to to the objects, so that you can export that and send it out to the fabricator, the erector, or any person working on the project, and have them input their dates and track when specific things have been done, so that you can bring that back into the model to get an accurate depiction of what's going on and have that linked to those actual objects. Once those dates and that information is linked to the objects, we can do some planning using our project status visualization tool, or be able to colorize the model in 4D, be able to take a look at it that way. And we'll also talk about the task manager, some improvements that have been made with that, or basically just an introduction to those who aren't familiar with it. And I guess talking about the upgrade here, mentioning that we have released the CM module, which is offered for a special promotional price at this time. So if you're interested in that, feel free to contact your account managers to discuss further. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We'll go into the planning. So with the planning, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the Tekla model. This is the same model that we've been using for all of the other episodes, if you will, of the Fabricator series. So what we did previously is we had it organized using the model organizer and things like that. So I'll go ahead and open up the model organizer just to take a look at some of the things that we did. We've done the cost coding and everything like that. So what I'll do is we want to plan some information basically about our phase 1. So what I can do is just click on this section A, which is how this is all broken down. If I click on control and select level 1, it'll filter all of that information out for me in a quick, rapid way. So again, another advantage of using the model organizer as opposed to selection filters is that you can manipulate the information within this. And we could drill down even further if I wanted to just select the beams that were on level 1 in section A to drill that down. So once I have that information selected, this is what we'll be working with. So I'll go to Tools, down to Task Manager, and this will open up what is called the Task Manager. So what I'll be able to do, there's several buttons up here at the top which we'll go through and explain, but basically just general settings and similar features that are available in other Tekla tools. So I'll go ahead, and the first thing that we'll do is just generate a task. And if we want, I can just call this that this would be the detailing task. I'll go ahead and hit enter, and then I can, under the detailing section, I can create a subtask for each of my phases. So I can do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, etc., and then create another task for fabrication, and then subtasks broken down by phases, or however we want to have that broken down, and then for erection, or however you want to do that. So what I'll do with this is I can just go ahead, and what we have are different task types. So before I do that, I'll just go ahead and add information to this. So I'll just right click on this subtask, and I want to add the selected objects in the model to this. So I'll just go ahead and select add selected objects. And what that will do is once I come in here and select pieces, I can then define a production rate. And this populates the quantity. So I have 86 pieces from the model that are going to be on that. And what this is saying is that it gives me, based on this information, a planned duration, a planned start date, which is today, and obviously I can change that. And then based upon 2 pieces per hour, it's going to tell me that my planned end date is on August 10th.
One other thing to notice there as well is that when Lee added the pieces to the task manager, the timeline in the Gantt chart actually grew as well. So you can see like how long, in a visual sense, how long it's going to take to do that. The other thing as well with that Gantt chart there, it shows colorized when there is objects selected with it, and it shows hollow when there's nothing in the model attached to it as well.
Mm-hmm. So again, a visual representation of what's going on. So as far as planning, some things that we can do is we can come in here to my planned end date and say, you know, based upon the schedule and things that are going on, I absolutely have to be done with detailing of phase 1 by the 8th instead of the 10th. So when I hit enter, what's going to happen is that the planned production rate is automatically going to increase to tell me how many pieces I have to detail per hour in order to meet this drop dead date of the 8th. And obviously my Gantt chart adjusts as well.
There is a couple of considerations as far as when we're looking at this from a traditional detailing side, if you like, right now, where you would be drawing things individually on a sheet, but of course that's not the case within Tekla. So what you would be doing is you'd look at historically what you've been detailing stuff at, and by detailing I mean modeling, producing the drawings, cleaning the drawings. So that would be your entire like per hour ratio here. You could break it down into modeling and drawing production and drawing editing if you wanted to be even more accurate with that. But we've taken like a kind of overview based on a rate of how long it would take to model, produce the drawing, clean the drawing, issue the object.
Yeah, and this also works in the reverse. So if I know that, you know, my team or myself or whatever can do, you know, eight pieces per hour, maybe they're real simple beams or something that it's not as complex or whatever, is that this will also then update. So it'll say that my planned start date is going to be again on August 3rd, and it's going to take me 1.43 days at this rate to be completed by August 4th. So you know, you can just do different scenarios and timelines and identify, you know, what your critical path is to be able to input this information into the actual model.
That one there's a procrastinator's dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
It means you don't have to start it until a day before it's due to be done.
Yep, you're good to go. So that's one thing that we can do. And then also within the model, if I just let me shrink this down and move this down, is that we can actually also come in here. I'm selecting the assemblies and under project status. basically all of these UDAs, plan detailing start, plan detailing end, are linked and can be linked to the task manager. So I could highlight this and come in here and populate these values and things like that, and have that brought into the task manager. So depending on how you want to do it, if you just want to do it by a lump sum or assign these UDAs to view it, then you'll be able to do that. And we'll come back and talk more about this project status tab when we get further into this discussion. But just so you know, different ways that you can do things in different workflows for you. So just to do a quick little review of planning the schedule, you can either do the UDAs or you can just do it straight into the task manager there. Alright, next we're going to take a look at scheduling and some things that you can do with that. So I'll go ahead and jump right back into the model here that we're working with. And let's see, I already got my task manager open. So we can do it this way, but one thing that I want to show, let me just delete this. We can come back and play with that later. But I'll go, what I'm going to select now is I'm basically going to create a scenario which will allow me to import a schedule from the general contractor for whoever. And these files can basically just be imported from Microsoft Project or Primavera. So you can bring those, if there's already a schedule going on with the actual project, we can bring that in. So I'll just go ahead and select, like this is the general schedule that would have, and I can override existing tasks if I already have in there, or these different options. But what this will do is when I hit OK, is it's going to bring in all of the information and the breakdown that they already have based upon this actual project. So if I look at the different sections that they have, I can see you know, the foundations, the structural, they have it broken down to mechanical, you know, and it can be even down further than that. So if I scroll over, as Ian mentioned, since these are the actual timelines, but there's nothing in them, so they're blank. So what I can do is highlight my phase 1, and I can come in here and link my objects to that, so that I can then compare, say, okay, their schedule says I need to be done by this day. When I link my actual objects to it based on my production rate or what I think I can do, then I get a good idea of if I'm going to be, if I should bring a sleeping bag and pillow to work, to camp out, to meet their schedule, or, you know, if I'm on track. So it'll give you a good understanding of how the objects in the model relate apples to apples back to their schedule. So it's a huge thing that you can be able to do. So we'll just to take a quick look at that back here on the PowerPoint. So being able to do all the construction planning, the site management, or even pre-construction stuff, and then have it broken down piece by piece with objects linked in the model gives you a huge advantage on the actual project. So
another portion of that is when you come to the working with the GC, you know, if you can then adopt his schedule, and you're also saying to him, well, I you know, if you send me your schedule, I'll make sure that I fit it because I've got tools that can help me work with you. It's another selling point for your business over any other of your competitors.
Yeah, and again, just to mention, you can bring these in from Microsoft Project or from Primavera to be able to link those, and basically it's just in an XML format. To be able to do that. So on to tracking, we'll spend you know, a little bit of time doing our planning to see how it's going to do. We can build our schedule within the task manager, but then with the tracking, this is where we kind of get into the nuts and bolts, or the meat and potato of where we start to bring in actual dates and information from the general contractor, from the fabricator, so that we can compare our actual, or our planned dates with the actual things that are happening in the project. So back into Tekla, what we'll do here is a feature that's called an attribute import that has a couple different steps with it. So with this information highlighted in the model, what I'm going to do is come up here and generate a report. When I just create this from selected, and what this will do, let me bring this on over here.
And Lee's creating this report using Microsoft Excel. We're kind of assuming at the moment that perhaps the Fabricator or anybody else you're dealing with doesn't have like an MIS, MRP system like FabTrol, FabSuite or any one of those type. But so this can be done with Excel spreadsheets, or it can be done through some of the tracking tools that are available in other systems that we link to as well.
Mm-hmm. And so what this will do is it brings in the individual ID of the piece. So you'll notice here that I have several C29s, but they all have an individual ID number. So the dates or the information recorded about that individual piece, not just the overall assembly with the quantity of 5 or whatever, is going to be written to that piece. So here I can do the shop issue, when it was issued for shop, or when the detailing was complete, when the fabrication was actually started, and when the fabrication was completed, when it was actually begun to be erected, and when the erection was complete. And these are just a few that we've selected from that. Let me show you here. From here, if we pull up the actual UDAs on this piece under project status. So these are just some of the UDAs that I brought in. So if this, obviously it should go without saying that you can customize something like this any way that you want, of what you guys want to track or don't want to track, or what's important or crucial for you. So what would happen with this workflow is that you would send this to the detailer would have it, and then they could populate their dates here, and even times if you wanted. If you want to get even down that specific, send one to the fabricator and then one to the erector, because somebody's tracking this information already. So if you can just get it in a format that agrees with Tekla, then you can bring it back into the model. And the neat thing about this too is that you could send out 3 different copies and have the detailer fill in his information and everything else would be blank. Same for the fabricator, would just fill in his information, and when you import those back in, it's not going to override the information of the other trade, as long as these are left blank. So as long as each trade stays in their sandbox, then you're going to be okay. So what I'm going to do here within the Tekla model is that I already have populated this report with specific dates. So over here, just my model, what I'll do is go up to File, down to Import, and I'll select Attributes. And then within this dialog box, what I'll be able to do, like I mentioned before, is that I have a pre-populated report that has the dates and times, or just the dates. You could include the times of when things were generated. It's just a comma delimited format of CSV. I can go ahead and choose whether I want to show the log report, which I will, just so I can see what it looks like. But when I hit create, what it's going to do is it's going to take the ID numbers from the Excel report, find those IDs within Tekla, and then it's going to map all of these properties to those individual pieces. So if there were any import issues, or if I couldn't find anything or something, it would show up on this report. So I can just scroll down through this if I want to see everything that was brought in. But it's just showing me what all has happened and what has taken place. So if I just like double click on one of these just to see where these are brought into the UDAs, it will pull up the properties, and I can come over here to project status, and you can see here it's populated the actual detailing, the fab start and end dates, and then this one doesn't have any erection information on there. So some has been erected to this point, some hasn't.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that this is data that people are recording anyway. The guy who's loading the trucks is recording what he puts on the trucks. So this is the information that he should just be sharing back to the guy using the model or the project manager on the job. The other thing as well is it doesn't have to be an Excel file. I think we've mentioned that before though. Can be any MIS, MRP system as well that you might be using already.
Yeah. And what I can do now, taking a look here at the 4D or our project status visualization, I'm just going to go ahead and load this steel tracking. And what this is doing is that this review date is basically, I can set that up to be at any time, past, present, or future, to see where the project is and what it's doing. So if I have information into the model, I can take a look at this at any time throughout. So what it's going to show, if I just click on edit, is I've set up object representation rules that will be able to tell me what the colors are. So what I can see with these colors, so when something has been erected, it'll tell me if the erection's complete, it'll be colorized in green. For the fabrication, again, it'll be colorized in blue. And for red will be that it has actually been detailed. So I can go in and colorize my model and take a look at a specific day and see what's going on with that. So on the 11th, we did our first detailing submittal to fabrication on the 11th, and they began fabricating that day. So, and some of them were completed, so when I refresh, most of the model is going to be red, just saying that it's been, the detailing is complete, but some of these will also show up as blue because they began fabricating on that day. So I'll just let this colorize the model. Alright, there we go. So we can see, again, as I mentioned, everything in red has been detailed. The ones in blue have also been detailed, but they're also at a point at this moment in time where they've actually been fabricated. So let's go ahead and take a look back here. So what I can do is I can either click on this and select the date of where I want to go see, just to see that exact day of what's going on, or I can just step this through by 7 days or by 1 day. So when I just click on this button here, it will go through and colorize the model based on these other days. So now these columns over here have also been fabricated. So I can just get a quick look at the project, however I want to view this. So if I just want to jump to a specific time, we began erecting some of this on the 1st of August. So if I look at the 2nd of August and click refresh, it will colorize the model based upon that information on that specific day. So right here I can see pretty much everything's been fabricated, everything in green has begun to be erected. If I step this forward by a day,
and you see that again, remember that you can share this model, the colorized model, using tools like Tekla BIM-Site or the publish to web function within Tekla as well. So you can give good visual representations of your status to all of your contract partners.
Yeah, and what it did is it colorized the other items that have been erected on that day. So I could begin, that brings us up to August 3rd, which is today. So I can get another updated list tomorrow or at the end of the week to be able to see exactly where the project was at any given time. So that's that for the project status visualization. I'll go ahead now and let's take a look at the task manager and see how these attributes that were imported, these UDAs that we populated from the CSV file, are associated with the task manager. So I'll go ahead and open that and load it, and then we can build our different tasks based on detailing, fabrication, and erection. So I could use this if I wanted, but just to create one from scratch, I'll just go ahead and do that. So let me create a task, and we'll do this again. So detailing, and then I'll create a subtask just by clicking this, or I could right click on it, and let's just do phase 1, and I'll call this, we can set it to be detailing. So let's go ahead and create another task then for fabrication, and a subtask of that, and this can be phase 1, and I'll go ahead and change this to be fabrication, and this should just be blank. So one more time for the erection, and again phase 1. Okay, so I'll link this again to erection. So we have that. So the next thing that we need to do is go back and get our model organizer so that we can highlight the phase 1 in the model, just as we did, just so that we're getting the same objects that we created our attribute report from. So it'll be level 1, and then control and click on section A. So we want to link those objects to our detailing, to our fabrication, and also to our erection. Okay, so now we have the objects actually linked to the individual phases. So we have the detailing phase 1, the fabrication phase 1, and the erection phase 1. So what we can do is we can take a look at several different things. If I right click on one of these phases and look at the task information, what it'll do is it'll show me all of the values of the UDAs that I have and all sorts of different things. So here on the general tab, so this will just say what the phase is, you know, that we're detailing where our workable load is by pieces. We could also do it by weight. So if you knew that you could fab a certain amount of weight, you could track it by that as well. For the scheduling, here it gives us all this information with the planned production rate at 2 pieces per hour, and it also shows me the percentage that I have complete. So I've completed all of the detailing, so that's why it's marked at 100%. Over on the tracking, we're tracking this by linked objects. You could override that and just do manual and then plug in the information if you wanted to that as well. But over here on the objects is that we can see for my actual end date, this is when the detailing was actually complete. So if I just take a look at that, and I can, you know, take a look, I can just by clicking on any one of these tabs, it'll order it. But here's the 7/11, my first submittal, and then my other submittal that went out on 7/14. So you can see the grid location, different marks, and you can you know, set up those settings whether you want to see more or less than that about the actual pieces. We can also create dependencies. So if you're detailing phase 1, obviously you won't be able to fabricate it until the detailing is complete. So you can create a dependency on that and be able to see all this information here. Okay, so what I'll do, let's go ahead and expand this out and just to take a look. And what this is saying here is that based upon the UDA information that I brought in, 100% of the detailing is complete, 100% of the fabrication is complete, and then 37% here would be complete with the actual erection information. So if I slide this over, we can take a look. Let me refresh this one. There we go. So I just had to refresh that there. So 100% of the fabrication is complete, which you can see here by the lines that are going through. If I just drag this over. So the blue, basically just this line shows me the percentage that's complete. So 37% is complete. And this is really important too, because as the UDAs are tagged, you can say, okay, I've completed 37%, but I have 4 weeks total to do the project, and I'm already 2 weeks into it. So you can know that you're not at 50%, so you can adjust accordingly. But it's a real handy tool to be able to look at your schedules. And again, as I mentioned, you could create dependencies on these. But we had, as we submitted some of the detailing, the fabrication began the first day. So however you want to use that and adjust that.
Yeah, it looks good. I think the key thing is looking at and examining your burn rate, if you like. Just reiterating what Lee says, that you can see if you're going to go over time on the project and perhaps even report that early to the GC so that he can make changes accordingly as well. So again, another benefit that you can work with your project partners, offering tools that your competitors cannot.
Okay. So back to the PowerPoint, we'll just do a quick little review of this. So for the attribute import, as we selected the items in the model, generated the report from those pieces, had the individual trades, the detailer, fabricator, erector, whatever, inputs that information. And again, that's just using a comma delimited format to attribute import back into the model. But we also do have links with FabTool and FabSuite where you can track some of this seamlessly using some of their different reports. So we can do that as there, and then also once the information is back into the model, we have the project status visualization, which will allow us to view the model based upon the different aspects that are going on. So for this one, you could do checked, approved, fabricated, and erected, or any of those UDAs that you want to track and report on. Right. So to do a complete review of everything that we've talked about is that you can just going through this workflow, enter in the plan dates to the actual objects in the model just by plugging in information to the actual UDAs. Then you can take that section that you're working on, the phase 1, phase 2, the lot, the sequence, or however you have it set up, and then link those objects to the task manager. And with that, if you have the GC schedule or the overall schedule of the project, you'll be able to verify the feasibility of that schedule to see, again, how much work you're going to have to put in, or how off the schedule is, so you can make necessary adjustments if possible there. And then once you have that, you can generate a report or MIS data from Tekla, get that information populated, and then bring that back in so that you have actual updating information of how the project is progressing. And then you can share that information with a colorized model either through Tekla BIM site or through the basically just generating a web page so people can view that. Again, both of those options are free for people to view at any time that they want. And then also, just as we showed, you can see the burn rate or the progress within the task manager.
Yeah, it looks good, Lee. Just looking, if that was the features there, looking at some of the benefits that you can garner or harvest from using these tools. Before going through the points in the slide, just as a conversational note, these guys are recording this data anyway. I mean, Lee and I visit many fabricators throughout the country, all throughout the year, and we see different processes. Guys have got stuff up on a whiteboard where they're tracking this kind of stuff. There's maybe a project manager with a spreadsheet tracking all this kind of stuff. So if you're using the Tekla model, if you're a fabricator and your detailer's using a Tekla model, or perhaps you're even subbing it out, this is all information that you can use based on that real data that's within that database that is the visual Tekla model. So, I mean, in the official line, the task manager allows you to create your own internal schedules and share them with the project team. You're going to get the schedule from the GC, bring that into the task manager, and show where your components break down within his overall schedule. That reduces the risk, obviously, because you've got better control of production, less hassle, less waste, all of those other auxiliary benefits that come from just having better control. The whole key thing on this third point here is show it as detailed, show it as planned, and then show it as built. It's all worked through the Tekla Structures model. Managing that process of information of each individual component, installation sequences, truckloads, you name it, break it down into phases, lots, then sequences. Everything can be tracked, and you can use all this data and harvest all this data for future projects as well, so that over the midst of time, if you like, your estimates of your times and of your progress on jobs will become more accurate. Well, every job is slightly different. There's all commonalities between the components, and you know how much time it takes to detail, how much time it takes to fabricate, so you can garner more accurate data as time progresses. On the basic overview, you're seeing the objects in the model with that percentage complete, just as Lee showed there at the end, getting your burn rate, we've been calling it, although doesn't seem to be an official title for how the project is progressing. It's graphical. That's a key factor in just quickly getting a report of the information. Nobody really wants to look down through a list apart from like accountants and those kind of guys who just seem to like spreadsheets for no other reason other than it's calculated data. But you've got a graphic there. An owner wants to see a graphic of his job. The GC hasn't got a lot of time in his hands. He wants to quickly look at a model and say, oh yeah, I can judge that that's 30% complete or 98% complete or something like that. A couple of other auxiliary benefits as well. React much quicker to changing design scenarios. So for example, the engineer calls you up on a Friday evening and says, oh, we've decided to change the entrance canopy or something like that. Then you can show fairly quickly through the UDAs, through the task manager, how that's going to affect the schedule, and get that information back to him on the Monday morning even. So you can say, right, okay, we'll give you your new canopy, but we're going to need an extra week or an extra couple of days for the detailing or the fabrication. Alternate proposals for the same thing as well.
Or when I was detailing, you're bringing your s'mores to the office.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
it up
there. You're working over the weekend, or you're working late into the day, or consequently, maybe as has happened recently, where jobs got smaller, you know whether the timeline can be cut or whether you're just still going to need the same amount of time available. All of this, in summation, is what we're calling beyond detailing. We'll talk about it in a minute, but we're doing a session at the user group meeting next month, or actually this month, on all the extra tools that you can sell to GCs, to engineers, to owners, to all of your project partners that really differentiate your business over and above just a simple set of detailed drawings, no matter how beautiful those detailed drawings might be. So it's all part of using Tekla to develop your business. That's all for now. Basically, next webinar, again, reminder, Wednesday, 7th September, midday Eastern Time, project communication and coordination. Contact us at any of these addresses, and like I said before, come along to Las Vegas and lose your shirt and probably a lot more besides on gambling tables, or come to Las Vegas and be productive by attending our sessions and learning more about how Tekla can help your business. What we've got is, if we've got some time available, we'll take a couple of questions. I'll say thank you at this point to Lee for building the webinar and delivering the content, and also the production team and Brian Raglan for the technical assistance. We'll take a couple of questions now from some of the ones that have come in.